of higher education, and through being the chair of the FICCI Higher Education Committee, I could personally contribute a lot, and not just personally, but even on behalf of FICCI, we could contribute a lot, having closely interacted with Dr. Kasturi Rangan and others. And therefore, as I say, this policy is actually each one in the academic world in India feels that it belongs to them. The second is that this policy has come out at a time when India is also on the international map, much more than what it was before. And I would say on the academic international map. And therefore, if you really look at the discussions and deliberations of the national education policy, of course, in India, there have been several discussions, but we also find discussions happening all across the world, specifically in countries that really look at India as an elder brother in the field of higher education. And therefore, I think this national education policy has also gained a global importance. As regards to the topic that we are going to discuss and deliberate in the next few minutes, the whole national education policy has been focused on one word called multidisciplinary. And I'm sure it's repeated more than 100 times in the draft, stage of the national education policy, and again more than 50 times in the 64-page summary document that has come out, and which all of us read and refer to every time we speak about the NEP 2020. And I think it was very important for Indian institutions to be focusing on multidisciplinarity, because many of our students who tend to go abroad, especially at undergraduate programs, generally go for the multidisciplinariness of the education that we see in the US and Europe and other developed countries. And I think the focus of multidisciplinary education is to make individuals, especially the young boys and girls, develop their personalities more holistically, because they not only gain knowledge of a particular subject, but they do get knowledge of several subjects. And that is when we speak about a liberal education, which actually opens minds of these young men and women. Of course, in India, we do have centers of excellence like all the IITs and the IIMs and several other institutions of national importance. But I think even the IITs and IIMs and other institutions of national importance have realized that technical knowledge no longer will just give employment to students. Yes, they would give employment, but if you really want leaders, if you really want thought leadership to come out or scholarly leadership to come out, it also means that the technical education needs to be supported with education in the humanities and social sciences and other disciplines. And therefore, I think this whole focus on multidisciplinarity or the multidisciplinary education in the NEP is something that all of us were discussing about, and now I'm glad that we can implement it. But there are several ways that you can actually implement this multidisciplinary education. There could be universities like, say, Symbiosis or Manipal or others who are anyway centers of multidisciplinary education, which means you have so many other faculties with you that students get to, at least if not study, meet students from different faculties, meet teachers from different faculties, and probably their personalities do get affected in a more positive way. There are educational systems which are multidisciplinary education, which means these new schools of liberal arts or universities of liberal arts like the Ashoka, the Symbiosis School of Liberal Arts, or the Shiv Nadar and OP Jindal and several others, or Kriya now, a recent one, which are offering this kind of multidisciplinary education in one university umbrella, where students actually get to take in, subjects from different discipline or courses from different disciplines and add them together to make a holistic education for themselves. I think the NEP actually thought of a larger canvas, because there is this very elite population that actually gets to experience this multidisciplinary education. And the NEP thought that it is now important to percolate this multidisciplinary education amongst all the universities, colleges, and all higher education institutions in India. And that's when the concept of the academic bank of credit came in. I know there have been several discussions. Of course, there are a lot of challenges also, but I think it is a very, very progressive way for the Indian government and specifically the Ministry of Education to think of creating an academic bank of credit, no matter what challenges will come across when we actually implement it. And the details of which I'm sure Dr. Sancheti will give more focus to. But I would like to say that this is one good thing that has happened, because it will give students the autonomy to choose what they want to do. The students of the yesteryears, I mean, I'm not very old, but I would also like to mention that when I studied medicine, there were hardly any choices for students. It was either engineering and going to IITs or medicine if you wanted to prove your intelligence. But that's no longer true. I mean, students can actually prove their intelligence by taking, subjects from humanities, social sciences, which are probably far more application based than really technical subjects or subjects of medicine. And therefore, I think here is a student, which is the major stakeholder that is looked at by the higher education system. And then we see how the student can actually get this autonomy and, of course, the flexibility to create his or her own program. And during the committee discussions and deliberations that have happened, this academic bank of credit, I won't, of course, will have student accounts. It will, of course, choose higher education institutions which are of a particular value or a particular quality. Only the NAC A and A plus institutions will be selected to, deposit their credits in this bank. And students will be account holders and actually choose credits from different institutions that are putting in these into this deposit or the academic repository, which is going to be created. Now, if a student actually takes admission to a particular institution or university, he will or she will have to take in 50 to 70% of the credits from that particular university, and the student will have the choice to choose 30% or 50% from other institutions which are seen in this bank. Now, if a student wants to even pick up all the credits from this bank, the student can do so to create a liberal arts program for himself or herself. Now, this is the kind of multidisciplinary education or the autonomy that the student will get. On the other side, if there are students who want the flexibility because of whatever reasons, for work or for family problems or for anything that they would like to take a break in their higher education, they can certainly do so by actually taking in credits, moving out of the system, and again back coming in. So this has given enormous flexibility, enormous autonomy to students. I think we'll also have to look at the challenges. The Indian higher education system is a pretty rigid system as of now, rigid in all ways because it doesn't have the flexibility for both students as well as teachers, rigid in a way where fees are charged annually and not really by credits, rigid in a way that many of the institutions still in India do not practice the choice-based credit system as prescribed by the University Grants Commission long back. And of course, rigid in a way that many of the institutions are still working in silos or compartmentalized into disciplines that do not even talk to each other. Now, to suddenly break a smooth sailing boat, of such a large nature that is present in our country, it is going to be challenging. Of course, the challenges can be mitigated by several ways, but yes, there will be challenges. Today, the fees that are charged by higher education institutions are annual fees and not fees by credits. So self-financing institutions will certainly see a huge challenge when it actually comes to implementing of this NEP. Infrastructure can be another problem. I mean, if students tomorrow choose to take in some credits from a particular institution and the institution cannot really support by way of infrastructure, which means classrooms or hostels, that is going to be a challenge. And I think the biggest challenge would be the teachers' acceptance of this diversity in a classroom. Today, when you select students to a particular institution, whether it's an IIT or a BITS Pilani or a Manipal or a Symbiosis, the students come through a rigorous selection process, which the university or that institution feels it as a right selection process for its students to come in, which means they define the parameters of selection, and through these parameters the student walks in. And after having come into the institution, there are certain ways that the academia or the faculty deal with the students when it comes to teaching, learning, and even for that matter, research. Now here, you look at what is going to happen. You probably will have about 20% of the students who come through this mobility program in the same classroom, I presume, wherein maybe 80% students have been selected and are already in the pathway of education in a university that prescribes a particular way, a particular pedagogy, a particular way to teach. Now, it is going to be challenging when this kind of diversity comes in class. And therefore, I see a lot of challenges that I'm sure will be looked at when UGC looks at implementing this. However, I feel that at an institutional level, we can certainly bring in this academic bank of credit. Nationally, yes, it is going to be challenging when it comes to private institutions, public institutions, What choices do students make? Are all these private and public institutions going to enjoy, the same kind of, treatment when it comes to financing, when it comes to, several other things. Even assessments vary between universities. And therefore, I see these challenges coming at a national level. But I don't see as much challenges at an institutional level. Just look at a case study of, for example, our university, which is multidisciplinary. What if at the university level, we really create an academic bank of credit, and we actually get in students who can choose and decide to take in the credits from this academic bank and be account holders, and then have a choice to actually move from one institution to the other in a very multidisciplinary way. And therefore, the degree that the student gets, of course, will be a degree of his choice. We will also have to define the spine program or the course, and so on and so forth. But yes, that could be possible, in an institutional level. I also see that some of our international partners who are very, very well engaged with us, for several years now, can actually also think of, lending their credits to this university, and therefore there could be a seamless mobility of students across borders, and you could see a much better internationalization process, a much better student mobility than really what's happening today. I mean, today what happens is when two universities come together for collaborations, we do this credit mapping. We know that this mapping is not really as intense as we would expect it, but we of course do have some kind of flexibility when we have this credit mapping done, and then ensure that students can spend a semester of their law program or an engineering program, or for that matter a management program, somewhere in another university. They gather those credits and bring back home, and then we obviously push in those credits into our main program. So such things and such experiments have started happening. But I think when a facilitation at the level of the Government of India happens, at the level of the University Grants Commission happens, I think we will get better strength to create this wonderful bank of credit at the university level. I definitely foresee that in the next few years, we will see a sea change in the Indian higher education system, and a change for the better. It's not just about internationalization that I am very, very passionate about and have done a lot of work in this area, but I also see a great amount of mobility within Indian institutions. I mean, I always wonder, why can't Indian institutions collaborate with each other in a way we collaborate with international partners? And in Pune, in our very own place, we are looking at a collaboration between Pune University, the Savitribai Phule Pune University, which is ranked amongst the top 10 universities in India, and Symbiosis International University, because the Vice Chancellor there and we, when we sat together, we felt that, I mean, why can't students have a seamless mobility between these two great institutions right here in the city of Pune? And then along with that, probably we'll have more partners. And imagine a student from Delhi coming to the city of Pune and taking in credits from these different universities, and deciding which university really he wants a degree from. So these kind of experiments can certainly happen in India. And I'm sure with this academic bank of credit, there will be a wonderful student mobility, at least within Indian institutions, a day that all of us as academia are wanting to see. One of the factors in this whole mobility or in this academic bank of credit would be the online, programs. And today, India and Indian universities do not have programs that are online. Of course, some of them do, but not at the level of creating a wonderful online education system in India. We have a lot of edtech partners that we partner with and collaborate with. And I think through this academic bank of credit, when it comes to, the NPTEL, which anyways, most of the engineering colleges are using, the Swayam platforms, but even for other universities to create these kind of online structures, it will be very easy when it comes to implementation of the academic bank of credit. So that's one area that Indian higher education system has really not concentrated on. Yes, some of us have contributed to the larger platform of Swayam, and IITs have done this for several years now. But if you look at the general education, when it comes to the BCom and the BA and other programs, you don't see much of online education happening there. Again, with this, we will be able to open up with the online educators from abroad. I mean, you have several partners that presently we partner with, like Coursera, edX, and several others. And now you see a lot of foreign faculty that are actually teaching in Indian classrooms, much more than what happened before. So one of the good things of the pandemic has opened this whole online sector so much that it has become very easy for Indian faculty as well as Indian students to go through the teaching learning process. I think this ABC that is envisioned is also a virtual platform, but here you will get a lot of online partners that will come and deposit their credits in this bank.